Obviously, for me, it's probably more risky because he's young. He's 20, can come again. For me, it's, obviously, a lot of big fights, obviously, different stage of a career, so it'd be a lot harder for me.
With Moses' style, he could be landing some serious bombs, sharp bombs, that do a lot of damage to Dillian early doors, so he can never get into the fight. I think it's stacked against Dillian.
Dillian Whyte's probably found it hard now to get that big fight. He's probably said, I'll fight Moses Itauma if you give me X amount of money. And that's probably why this fight's getting made. But
Dillian Whyte isn't sugarcoating it. He's been around the fight game long enough to spot danger when it's standing in front of him. And in Moses Itauma, danger comes packaged in a 20-year-old frame with frightening speed, raw knockout power, and the kind of confidence that makes seasoned heavyweights uneasy. Whitey knows what he's walking into. For him, the stakes are higher. Itauma still...
obviously, I'm going up against the next Mike Tyson, as in, he's been compared to Mike Tyson and a lot of great fighters, I'm just little old me. I never even been compared to a journeyman in a great era. He's been compared to Mike Tyson, so...
we're training. So early in his career, can take a loss, dust himself off, and rebuild. That's the beauty of youth in boxing. Time is on your side. For Whitey, time isn't just running out, it's breathing down his neck. One slip-up could slam the door on any hope of a comeback. And deep down, Whitey knows this young lion might not give him the chance to get going. Anthony Yarde doesn't hand out...
He's got a skill set, fast hands, footwork. From what I've seen, he's got a chin. Not that you need to be getting hit with these wild shots, because clearly you've done something wrong if you got
praised cheaply. But when he talks about Moses Itauma, there's no hesitation. From the first time Yarde saw him as a teenager, he knew the kid was special. The hands, Yarde says, the speed, the footwork, the chin, and the mentality. Coming from a man who's been in the ring with the likes of Sergey Kovalev and Artur Beterbiev, that's not idle talk. Yarde's not just hyping up a prospect.
A guy who's 24 years old, who's got his always faculties right, getting trained by one of the best trainers in the United Kingdom, and then mate, it's like, you got more chance of winning the lottery than you beating that Moses Itauma, let's be honest.
He's pointing out the rare combination of tools Itauma already possesses. And when a fighter who's faced elite talent tells you someone's the real deal, you listen. For Dillian Whyte, that's another red flag. He's not stepping into the ring with some untested hopeful. He's facing a fully equipped, fully prepared young heavyweight built for the big stage. Leave it to Derek Chisora to strip away the fluff. For him...
I think he's going to be in a tough fight. I know he's got the punch power to hurt and stop Dillian Whyte.
Beating Moses Itauma isn't just unlikely, it's like winning the lottery. The comparison paints the picture perfectly. In Chisora's eyes, Itauma isn't just a talented young fighter, he's a trained, dangerous heavyweight with elite guidance behind him. If Whitey steps into that ring thinking this is just another fight, Chisora warns he could be cashing in on a nightmare instead of a jackpot. Frank Warren has been around long enough to know the difference between hype and the...
Changing until that new star establishes himself, so we'll just wait and see, but it's exciting.
What do you make of Itauma versus Dillian Whyte?
It's a good fight. Dillian likes to fight. He'll have a tear up. Yeah. You can't test this man's cojones. He'll fight anybody and everybody. So with Dillian doing that, you think, you know what? It's a good fight, good testing fight, and he might be a gate.
Real thing. And he's clear, Moses Itauma's power is enough to stop Dillian Whyte in brutal fashion. Sure, Whyte can punch too, but Warren points to the unknown. Itauma hasn't truly been tested under fire yet. That's a question mark. But one Warren seems happy to put to the test. This is a promoter who's guided countless champions, and his confidence here isn't casual. When Warren says he believes Itauma gets the job done, that belief is backed by years of seeing how talent matures into greatness. Johnny Nelson is polite about it, but when he calls this a good fight, he's really saying something else. Whitey's role may have shifted. In the unspoken language of boxing, good fight for a veteran often translates to...
I think it's a great fight, but it'll be fascinating to see how Moses goes against Dillian. I don't think they put him in against Dillian Whyte if they think there's real jeopardy for them. I think they might get a few rounds and get asked a few more questions than possibly they've been asked by Marius Wack and Dempsey McKean. But
You're the gatekeeper now. The truth is hard to ignore. After knockout losses, long stretches of inactivity, and failed title shots, Whitey's career has started to resemble a revolving door, one that lets young contenders pass through on their way up. And Moses Itauma, he's queuing up to slam that door shut. Simon Jordan cuts through the romance of the sport and sees it for what it is, a business. Promoters don't risk their prized 20-year-old unless they're confident he'll win. And Itauma hasn't just been matched carefully, he's been dismantling opponents. Opponents like Kamil Sokolowski and Kevin Nicholas Espindola were supposed to provide tests. Itauma barely broke a sweat. For Whitey, the danger isn't just Itauma's skills, it's the absolute belief his camp has in him. They're not just planning to win, they're planning to make a statement. When you're brought in as the measuring stick for a young...
Prepared to go for 10 rounds. If it goes that, it goes that. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But like these fights that I'm going into, I'm not going into them thinking I'm going to knock him out in the first or second round. I'm going in thinking like, okay, cool, this is a 10-round fight.
Phantom. History shows you usually end up on the wrong end of the highlight reel. Itauma has made it clear he's not chasing an early knockout. That's maturity. A lot of young punchers swing for the fences, trying to end things quickly, but a young fighter willing to patiently break you down over 10 rounds. That's far more dangerous. It means every round is a trap. Every exchange could be the start of the end. Itauma's message to Whitey is simple. I can beat you fast, or I can beat you slow. Either way, I win. When a 20-year-old talks like a seasoned pro, that's usually bad news for the man standing across from him. When Tony Bellew compares you to Oleksandr Usyk, even with...
But he's the next in line. I think he's the future of the heavyweight division. I think he's an outstanding talent. I think he's got a good team around him, Ben Davison and Lee Wiley. Wiley is the brains that study everything, and they use what we call video analysis now in boxing. They're the one team.
With caveats. You know you're special. Bellew's fought at world level. He's been in there with Usyk himself, and he calls Moses Itauma the future of the heavyweight division. Yes, he mentions size, but Bellew's point is clear. Skill beats size, and Itauma has the tools to trouble anyone. In his view, Whitey is no longer the hunter. He's the hunted, and Itauma is the predator closing in. For Spencer Oliver, this fight isn't just about winning, it's about winning well. Oliver sees a future world champion in Itauma. That's not casual praise. It means he's looking at the kid's composure, footwork, and power, and seeing elite potential. For Whitey, that's the worst kind of opponent to face when you're trying to prove
everything, because he knows it's last chance saloon for him. He needs the victory here. So, look, we find out just how good Moses Itauma is, I think, on the 16th of August when he boxes Dillian Whyte, because I think he wins it and wins it in style. But everyone they put in front of him so far, he's just dismantled. I think this kid's going to go on and win.
You've still got it. Because if Itauma dominates, the headlines won't be about Whitey's loss. They'll be about the arrival of the future. Ben Davison has trained elite fighters. When he says people are expecting Itauma to get Whitey out of there in 2 or 3 rounds, it tells you something about the aura surrounding this kid. This isn't normal heavyweight talk. Usually people predict competitive fights, maybe a decision, maybe a late stoppage. With Itauma, the conversation starts at how quick will it end. That's respect and fear rolled into one. Whitey's been stopped before, and by fighters who don't have Itauma's combination of snap and speed. If Itauma decides to drag him into deep waters instead of blasting him early, Davison warns, it might be even worse, because every round will feel like the inevitable closing in. Peter Fury offers the balanced view. Yes, Itauma could produce another explosive early finish. But
I think what's quite significant to me is when people, a lot of the time, a lot of the general public, you know, the expectation's almost like it's a 2 or 3 round job for Moses. And my opinion is if there was any other heavyweight in the world boxing Dillian Whyte, they wouldn't say it's a 2 or 3 round job. So I think that just tells you how highly people think of.
There's always the chance of a banana skin fight. The kind where things don't go to plan, where a veteran like Whitey drags you into a gritty, ugly battle. That's the test Itauma hasn't faced yet. If it happens, it could be the most valuable education of his career. Still, as Fury acknowledges, Whitey hasn't shown the granite resilience in recent years that could trouble someone like Itauma for long. Betting on experience alone against youth, speed and power is a dangerous gamble. Liam Smith keeps it simple. He respects Whitey, but sentiment doesn't change his prediction. In his eyes, Itauma wins, and wins well. Whitey's peak is behind him. Too many wars, too much wear and tear, too many knockout defeats. Itauma is fresh, hungry, and climbing fast, and seasoned fighters are noticing. When Smith calls someone a special talent, he means it, and he's not alone. Dave Allen, himself a heavyweight who shared the ring with big punchers, still tips the scale toward Itauma. Allen respects Whitey's experience and...
It could be a quick night for Moses Itauma, or it could be a banana skin where he's in for a war and he could get dragged into deep water. Either way, it's good for Itauma because we're going to see what he's all about, you know. Or is he going to have another quick night? We have to see. Or Dillian Whyte could think to himself, yeah, he could be kryptonite for Itauma because...
Power, but inactivity has dulled his edge. Fighters notice the little signs, slower reactions, ring rust, hesitation. Itauma has none of that baggage. He's active, improving with each fight, and riding momentum. Allen hints at the obvious. If Whitey doesn't land something huge early, this fight starts tilting heavily in Itauma's favor. The longer it goes, the more inevitable the result becomes. When Anthony Joshua says you've got the edge, it's not small talk. Joshua has sparred Itauma, felt the speed, the sharpness, the weight of his punches. He doesn't hand out compliments for the sake of it. He talks about Itauma's great team for a reason. In boxing, the right corner can turn raw talent into an unstoppable force. Joshua even admits he's still studying Itauma. You don't study a fighter unless they've shown...
Like Dillian, but I think Moses wins and wins well. I think he's a class act. I think Dillian's best days are probably behind him. And I think he's a special talent, Moses. So, you know, I think Moses wins.
Shown you something you can't shake off. For Whitey, that's a warning siren. If a man who's faced Klitschko, Usyk, and Ruiz is paying this much attention to Itauma, it's not hype, it's reality. The air around this fight feels electric, not just because Dillian Whyte is stepping back into the ring, but because across from him will stand Moses Itauma, a 20-year-old force of nature carrying the kind of buzz you can't manufacture. This is more than a bout. It's a collision of eras. Whitey, once the relentless brawler chasing world titles, is now fighting to prove he's still relevant. Itauma walks in with speed, power, and composure, and veterans comparing him to champions before he's even fought for a belt. If Itauma wins, and wins in the emphatic fashion so many expect, it could be the night he steps from promising...
boxing for him, I don't know why it's not been active with Itauma has, so I'm making Itauma a favourite based on that, but Dillian Whyte's experience, he can punch. No result would surprise me, but I would go with him.
Prospect, unavoidable problem for the entire heavyweight division. If Whitey shocks the world, it rewrites the narrative and breathes life back into a career many have written off. That's the real question. Is it the kid tearing through opponents, building an unstoppable reputation, carrying the weight of expectation like it's nothing? Or is it the veteran, desperate to hold on to a past that's slipping away, determined to prove the boxing world wrong one more time? The stakes here aren't about belts or rankings. They're about legacy, about who owns the future. One man is trying to take the torch, the other is trying to keep it. And when the bell rings, all the talk, all the predictions, all the praise and warnings from veterans, it all disappears. It comes down to two heavyweights, one ring, and the answer to a question that's been building for months. Is Moses Itauma the next king in waiting, or does...
Around him, honestly, and you're as good as your team, but I think he's got a really good team around him after being in the ring with him and studying him, still studying him now. I think that he's the one to edge him.
Dillian Whyte have one more upset left in him. The debate starts now.